The morning sun shone bright over the city as Maya stepped out of her old blue car. The tall building of the courthouse stood before her, cold and gray against the clear sky. People hurried in and out, dressed in suits and coats, their faces serious. Maya adjusted her simple black dress and took a deep breath. Her steps were calm but sure. She was ready. Maya was not just any woman walking into the courthouse that day. She was strong, quiet, but strong. Years of hard work and struggle had built her courage like steel. Her dark eyes scanned the crowd as she entered. She did not show fear or doubt. Instead, she held her head high. Inside the courthouse, the air was heavy with tension. In one corner stood Officer Harris, a white man in his 40s with a cold stare. His uniform was neat, but his eyes were sharp and judgmental. He had been waiting for Maya. When he saw her, a sneer crossed his face. Harris did not like Maya. He looked at her as if she was a problem, something to be handled quickly and harshly. He was ready to make her life difficult. This was not just a court case for him. It was a chance to put Maya in her place. As Maya walked down the hallway toward the courtroom, Harris followed behind, his steps heavy. When she reached the door, he stepped in front of her, blocking her way. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked, his voice cold. Maya looked up at him. She could see the suspicion in his eyes. "I'm going to my hearing," she said, softly but clearly. Harris smirked. "We both know why you're here. You think you can fool the court with your stories? You won't get away with this." Maya's lips curved into a small smile, calm and steady. She said nothing. The courtroom was large and quiet. People sat in rows of wooden benches, their eyes fixed on the front. The judge sat high above, watching. Carefully, lawyers prepared their papers. Maya took a seat, keeping her hands folded on her lap. Harris stayed close, watching her every move. He whispered rude comments under his breath, loud enough for Maya to hear. "Shouldn't people like you be behind bars?" he muttered. "This place isn't for you." Maya's face did not change. She kept her calm. Deep inside, a fire burned. She knew who she was. She knew her truth. And she knew that no matter what Harris said, she would not let his words break her. Other people in the courtroom noticed Harris's harshness. Some frowned. Some whispered quietly among themselves. But Maya did not let it distract her. She was focused. When the judge called the case, Maya stood up slowly. Harris stood too, his eyes still cold and full of anger. The lawyer for the prosecution began to speak. He repeated the accusations against Maya, painting a picture that was unfair and cruel. But Maya listened carefully. She did not interrupt. She waited. When it was her turn to speak, Maya took a deep breath. Her voice was soft but clear. "I am not guilty of what they say," she said. "I have done nothing wrong." The courtroom was silent. Harris stepped forward, his face red with anger. "She's lying," he shouted. "She is dangerous." Maya looked at him, calm and steady. "You don't know the truth," she said quietly. That small moment changed the room. People shifted in their seats. Some stared at Maya with surprise. Harris glared at her, but Maya's calm smile did not disappear. It was a secret smile. A smile that said, "I have strength you cannot see." Harris did not know her story. He did not know what she had been through. He did not know that beneath her calm face was a warrior, someone who had faced far greater battles than any court case. The judge raised his hand to quiet the room. "Order," he said. "We will continue this case." Maya sat down again, her mind steady. Harris continued to glare, but Maya was not afraid. She was ready for what was coming. Because sometimes, the greatest strength is in the quietest heart, and Maya's heart was ready to fight. After the tense moment in the courtroom, Maya sat quietly. Her calm face did not show the storm inside her mind. Memories flashed in her head, memories she rarely shared with anyone. Years before this day, Maya was not just a woman. Facing court problems, she was something very different. A soldier, not just any soldier. She was one of the few black women in the Navy SEALs, a group known for their courage, skill, and strength. Maya remembered those days clearly. She had arrived at the Navy training camp full of hope and determination. The work was hard, more difficult than anything she had done before. Every day was a test of her body and mind. Many soldiers gave up, but Maya never did. She learned to fight, to survive, and to never back down. The other trainees looked at her with respect. Some even doubted at first, but they soon saw her strength. She was fast, smart, and fearless. She learned how to swim long distances, climb tall mountains, and handle the toughest weapons. Maya became a leader, someone others could trust. Her commanders noticed her bravery in missions. She saved lives. She faced danger many times, but she always came back stronger. But the Navy was not easy for Maya. She faced many challenges: racism, harsh judgment, and loneliness. Sometimes she was the only black woman in the room. Sometimes people doubted her just because of her skin color. Still, she never let their words stop her. She kept fighting, proving every day that she belonged. Back in the courtroom, Maya's mind returned to the present. The same people who doubted her before were now looking at her with suspicion. Officer Harris thought she was weak. He thought she could be pushed down. But he was wrong. Maya knew that if she revealed her past, it would change everything. But today was not the time. The courtroom was not ready to hear her story yet. She decided to keep her secret safe, for now. But Maya's strength was not just in her past. It was in who she was today. A woman who refused to be afraid. A woman who would fight with everything she had. As the hearing continued, Harris grew more aggressive. He accused Maya of crimes she did not commit. He used his power as an officer to try to scare her, but Maya stayed calm. She answered every question with respect and honesty. Her voice was steady, her eyes strong. The judge noticed this, the lawyers noticed this, the people in the courtroom noticed this. Maya's quiet courage was powerful. Outside the courthouse, Maya's phone buzzed. A message appeared from an old friend, someone who knew her secret. "Stay strong. We're with you," it read. Maya smiled, softly. She knew she was not alone. She had friends, she had strength, and she had the truth. That evening, Maya sat in her small apartment. She looked at a photo on her wall, her in Navy uniform, standing tall with her team. She touched the photo gently. The memories of training, missions, and battles filled her heart. Maya whispered to herself, "I'm still that person. I'm still strong." Tomorrow, the battle in the courtroom would continue, but Maya was ready. She was ready to show the world that she was more than what anyone expected, because sometimes the strongest people carry the deepest secrets, and Maya's secret was about to change everything. The courtroom buzzed quietly as the hearing continued. Maya sat patiently, her hands folded on her lap. Her calm face showed no fear, but inside, she felt every look and whisper. Officer Harris sat nearby, his eyes sharp and cold, watching her like a hawk. The judge called for a short break. People stood, stretched, and whispered quietly. Maya stepped outside into the hallway. The air was cooler, and she took a deep breath. She needed a moment to collect her thoughts. Her past life as a Navy SEAL was heavy on her mind, but she kept it locked away, her secret weapon. Just then, a tall man in a dark suit approached her. His presence was calm but firm. He smiled gently at Maya. "Ms. Johnson?" he asked. "Yes," Maya replied cautiously. "My name is Mark Davis. I'm here to help." He handed her a folder filled with papers. Maya opened it carefully. Inside were new documents, proof that supported her innocence, evidence that could change everything in the courtroom. "Where did you get these?" Maya asked, surprised. Mark nodded. "From people who believe in you, friends from your past, and some who have been watching the case closely." Maya felt a spark of hope. She realized she was not alone in this fight. Back inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was tense. Harris noticed the folder and grew angry. "Where did you get that?" he hissed. Maya's lawyer stood tall. "It's new evidence, Your Honor. We request the court to review it." The judge nodded and accepted the documents. Harris slammed his fist on the table. He did not like losing. "Control." Maya glanced around the courtroom. Some faces showed surprise, others doubt. But Maya's quiet confidence was growing. Outside the courtroom windows, a man in plain clothes stood watching. He was a friend from Maya's Navy days, someone who had helped her in the past. His eyes were serious. He knew the danger Maya faced, but he also knew her strength. This man had seen Maya in battle, had seen her survive impossible situations. And now he was ready to stand by her side in this new fight. As the hearing resumed, Maya felt more powerful. The new evidence was strong, but she knew Harris would try harder to discredit her. She had to be ready. Harris stood and shouted, "This is fake. These papers mean nothing." Maya's lawyer responded firmly, "We will prove their authenticity." The courtroom buzzed with tension. Maya stayed calm, her heart steady. That night, Maya sat alone in her apartment. She stared at the folder again, reading through the evidence. Every paper told a story, of truth, of lies exposed, and of justice waiting to be found. She thought about the man outside the courtroom, her old Navy friend. He was her silent protector, someone who believed in her even when the world doubted. Maya knew the battle was far from over. Harris was dangerous, and he would not give up easily. But Maya was ready to fight back, not just for herself, but for every person who had been judged unfairly. Because sometimes the greatest strength comes from knowing you are not alone. The courtroom was silent as the judge examined the new evidence Maya's lawyer had presented. Papers, photos, and official documents were spread across the table, proof that told a different story from what Officer Harris had claimed. Harris sat in his chair, his face growing red with anger. He knew this was not going as planned. He had expected an easy win, but now everything was slipping away. Determined to regain control, Harris began digging into Maya's past. He wanted to find something, anything that could discredit her. He spent hours searching public records, military files, and social media. One evening after the court session, Harris sat in his office scrolling through Maya's background. He found her military record. At first, he didn't understand it. But as he read, his eyes widened. Maya had been a Navy SEAL, one of the few women and an elite soldier with many medals. She had been trained to survive dangerous situations, to fight enemies, and to protect her team. Harris realized something terrifying. He had underestimated Maya. She was not just an ordinary woman. She was someone dangerous, someone who could fight back. He felt a chill run down his spine. What if she decided to use her skills against him? The next day in court, Harris tried to hide his fear, but Maya noticed the change in him. During a break, Maya approached Harris calmly. Her voice was quiet but firm. "You should stop this," she said. "You don't want to make a mistake." Harris laughed nervously. "I'm not afraid of you," he said, but his eyes told a different story. Maya's smile was small but powerful. She had shown him a glimpse of her strength, and it was enough to shake him. Meanwhile, Maya's friends from the Navy and her lawyer were preparing for the next hearing. They knew Harris would try something desperate. They gathered in a small room near the courthouse, going over plans and evidence. Everyone believed in Maya's truth. One of Maya's old Navy teammates said, "He doesn't know who he's dealing with. She's a warrior." Maya listened quietly but felt the warmth of support. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel alone. Back in court, the judge called the next session. Harris stood trying to look confident, but his hands trembled slightly. Maya sat with her head high. The courtroom watched the two of them. It was clear something had changed. Harris's threats lost their power. Maya's calm strength filled the room. The judge spoke. "We will continue to examine all evidence carefully. Any attempts to intimidate or harass will not be tolerated." Harris clenched his fists but said nothing. Maya's secret past had become a shield protecting her from the storm. That night, Maya looked out her apartment window at the city lights. She thought about the fight ahead. She knew Harris would not give up easily, but she was ready. She was ready because she was not just fighting for herself. She was fighting for justice, for truth, for everyone who had been judged unfairly, and no matter what happened, she would never back down. The courtroom was filled with a tense silence as the day of the big hearing arrived. Everyone knew this was the moment where everything could change. Maya sat quietly, her hands resting on her lap, eyes steady and calm. She was ready. Officer Harris entered with a hard look on his face. He was angry and desperate to win. He knew. His false accusations were falling apart, and today he would do anything to take control. The judge called the courtroom to order. Today, we will hear all the evidence. Both sides will speak, the judge said firmly. Maya's lawyer stood up first. He spoke clearly and with confidence, presenting the new evidence they had gathered, the documents, the testimonies from Maya's friends, and proof of Harris's harassment. Maya listened quietly. She knew her lawyer was doing well, but the hardest part was yet to come. Then it was Harris's turn. He stood and looked directly at Maya. His voice was loud and full of anger. "You think you can fool this court with lies and secrets?" he shouted. "She's a criminal and a liar." Maya looked straight at Harris. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of strength. "No," she said clearly. "I am not a criminal. I am telling the truth." The courtroom gasped. Maya's words had surprised everyone. Harris tried to speak again, but Maya raised her hand gently. "Please listen." She took a deep breath and began to tell her story. "I am not just a woman facing these false charges," she said. "I am a Navy SEAL. I have fought for my country. I have faced danger and survived, and I will not let lies destroy my life." The room was silent. Everyone stared at her. Harris's face turned pale. He had no idea Maya's secret until now. Maya continued, "I have proof. I have friends who will stand by me, and I will fight for justice, not just for me, but for everyone who faces unfair treatment." Her voice was strong and clear. The judge nodded, impressed by her courage. Harris looked down, defeated. He realized he had made a terrible mistake by underestimating her. Outside the courtroom, Maya's Navy friends waited anxiously. They had heard about her brave words and felt proud. One of them said, "Maya showed everyone who she really is today. No one can break her." Maya smiled quietly. She knew the fight was still not over, but she had made a powerful step forward. That night, Maya sat in her small apartment thinking about the day. She felt hope and strength growing inside her. She whispered softly, "I will win. I must win." Because sometimes the greatest battles are not fought with weapons, but with courage and truth. The courtroom was quieter than usual. Everyone was waiting for the next important moment in Maya's case. Maya sat calmly, but inside she was alert and ready. She knew the battle was far from over. Her lawyer whispered to her, "We have a surprise witness, someone who can change everything." Maya's eyes brightened. She trusted her lawyer's judgment. She knew this could be the moment they needed. The judge called the next witness to the stand. The door opened and a woman walked in. She was tall, confident, and dressed, simply but with authority. The room fell silent as she approached the witness box. "This is Lieutenant Sarah Brooks," Maya's lawyer announced. Sarah was one of Maya's former Navy SEAL teammates. She had fought beside Maya in difficult missions and knew her true character. The prosecutor tried to challenge Sarah's words, but she stood firm. "I know Maya," Sarah said clearly. "She is honest, brave, and loyal. She would never do what they accuse her of." Sarah went on to describe the challenges they had faced. Together in the military, the dangers, the sacrifices, and the strength Maya showed every day. Her testimony was powerful. It painted a picture of a woman who was much more than the accusations said. Maya felt a wave of relief. This was the ally she needed. Officer Harris sat quietly, frustrated. He could see the tide was turning against him. During a break, Maya's lawyer approached her. "This is good. The truth is coming out." Maya nodded. "I just want this to end," she said softly. Outside the courtroom, Maya's friends and family waited anxiously. They believed in her and hoped justice would be served. Maya's phone buzzed. A message appeared from Sarah. "Stay strong, we're with you." Maya smiled, feeling the strength of friendship. Back inside, the judge thanked Sarah for her testimony and reminded everyone to focus on the facts. The courtroom buzzed with whispers. Maya had gained an important ally, someone who knew her truth. But Maya also knew that Harris would try everything to win. The fight was not over. That night, Maya sat by the window, looking out at the stars. She thought about the friends who stood by her, silent heroes in this difficult time. She whispered, "I am not alone." Her heart was calm, but full of courage. She was ready for whatever came next, because sometimes the greatest power comes from the people who stand with you. The courtroom was packed. Everyone waited to hear the next part of the case. Maya sat quietly, her eyes calm but full of fire. She knew this moment could change everything. Officer Harris looked tired and frustrated. His attacks had not worked. The evidence and witnesses had made his case weak. The judge called the session to order. "We will now hear closing statements." Maya's lawyer stood. He spoke clearly, his voice strong. "Ladies and gentlemen of the court, the truth is clear. Maya Johnson is innocent. She has been wrongly accused. We have shown proof, we have witnesses, and we have her courage." He looked at Maya. She fought for her country. She fought for justice, and she deserves fairness. The courtroom was silent. Maya felt a wave of hope. Then it was Harris's turn. He stood slowly, looking around. His voice was softer now. "Your Honor, I believe I was wrong. The evidence is clear." Everyone was surprised. Harris's words were unexpected. The judge nodded. "Thank you, officer. This changes the situation." Outside the courthouse, Maya's friends cheered quietly. Her Navy teammate hugged her tightly. "This is just the start," one friend said. "But it's a big step." Maya smiled. She felt light but strong. That night, Maya sat alone thinking about the day. She felt tired but hopeful. She whispered, "The truth is winning." She looked at the photo of her in her Navy uniform. The courtroom was still. Everyone waited as the judge prepared to give the final decision. Maya sat quietly, her heart steady, but her mind full of hope and fear. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The judge cleared his throat and spoke. Slowly, after careful consideration of all evidence and testimonies, the court finds Maya Johnson not guilty of all charges. A wave of relief washed over Maya. Tears filled her eyes. Years of pain, fear, and injustice seemed to melt away in that moment. Officer Harris sat silently, defeated. He looked down, knowing he had lost. The courtroom buzzed with whispers and soft applause. Maya's friends smiled proudly, and even some strangers looked at her with respect. Outside the courthouse, Maya took a deep breath of fresh air. The sun was shining bright, a symbol of new hope. Her Navy friends surrounded her, hugging and congratulating her. One friend said, "You showed everyone your true strength. You are a warrior, Maya." Maya smiled, feeling free for the first time in a long while. But Maya's journey was not over. The fight for justice was bigger than her case. She decided to use her story to help others, those who were judged unfairly, those who had no voice. Maya began speaking at events, sharing her experience and inspiring others to stand strong. Her past as a Navy SEAL was not just a secret anymore, it was her power. One evening, Maya stood on a stage speaking to a crowd. Her voice was clear and strong. "I am here to tell you, no matter what challenges you face, never give up. Your truth is your strength. Fight for it." The audience listened, inspired by her courage. Maya's life had changed forever. From the courtroom battle to new beginnings, she proved that justice can win. And sometimes the hardest fights lead to the greatest victories.